The day of the grand opening dawned with the first light of the sun spilling over Benin City. It illuminated the freshly painted sign above a small but tidy storefront, Heritage Kitchen. F stood outside, her hands clasped together, staring at the letters that represented so much more than a name. It was her promise to herself and to her customers, a promise to do things right this time. Inside, the air was filled with the aroma of freshly baked pastries, simmering pepper soup, and frying plantains. The stainless steel counters gleamed under the fluorescent lights, and every surface was spotless. The open kitchen design allowed customers to see their food being prepared, a deliberate choice F had made to rebuild trust. A small chalkboard by the entrance bore her motto in bold handwriting, "Clean food, clean conscience." But as the morning wore on, F's initial excitement gave way to anxiety. The tables remained empty, the silence in the dining area a stark contrast to the bustling crowds that once filled her previous eatery. She adjusted her apron nervously, glancing at the clock. It was almost noon, and still, no one had come. Word about Heritage Kitchen had spread quickly in the neighborhood, but not all of it was positive. The shadow of F's past still loomed large, and many were hesitant to give her a second chance. At the market, the gossip was relentless. "She thinks a new name can erase everything," a vendor scoffed, arranging bunches of plantains on her stall. "I'm not risking my stomach again." "People deserve a chance to change," another woman replied cautiously. "Maybe she's learned her lesson." "Learned her lesson?" "She should have known better in the first place," the first vendor snapped. The debate mirrored the larger conversation happening in the community. For every person willing to forgive, there were two more who remained skeptical. F knew this would be the case, but knowing didn't make it any easier. Just as F was beginning to lose hope, the sound of the bell over the door jolted her. She turned to see a young couple stepping hesitantly inside, their hands intertwined. They glanced around the spotless dining area, their eyes lingering on the open kitchen. "Welcome to Heritage Kitchen." F greeted them with a smile that masked her nerves. "Please, sit anywhere you like." The couple chose a table near the window, and F brought them menus personally. As she returned to the kitchen, she heard their hushed conversation. "Do you think it's safe?" the woman whispered. "I mean, it looks clean," the man replied, glancing toward the open kitchen. "Let's give it a try." F prepared their order meticulously, double-checking every step. She placed the plates before them with a warm smile. "Enjoy your meal," she said, retreating to the counter to watch from a distance. The couple took their first bites tentatively, then exchanged surprised glances. The man nodded, and the woman smiled, her tension easing. They finished their meal quickly and left without a word, but as they stepped outside, F overheard the man say, "That was really good. We should come back." It wasn't much, but it was a start. Over the next few weeks, customers began trickling in, drawn by curiosity or cautiously optimistic recommendations. F worked tirelessly to ensure every meal was perfect, and she made a point of engaging with her patrons, listening to their feedback and answering their questions honestly. To maintain her new standards, F knew she couldn't do it alone. She hired a small team of 3 young, eager individuals who shared her vision. During their first training session, she stood before them with a clipboard in hand, her voice steady but firm. "This isn't just about cooking," she began. "It's about respect, for the food, for the customers, and for each other. Cleanliness isn't optional here. It's the foundation of everything we do." Her team listened intently as she demonstrated proper cleaning techniques, storage methods, and the importance of transparency. F could see the curiosity in their eyes, the questions they didn't dare ask aloud. She addressed it head-on. "I made mistakes," she admitted, her voice softening. "Big ones. But I've learned, and I'm still learning. I need all of you to hold me accountable, just as I will hold you accountable." The honesty in her words resonated with them. By the end of the session, the team was motivated, ready to contribute to the eatery's success. One busy afternoon, as F rushed between the kitchen and the dining area, she froze. Sitting at a table near the back was a familiar face, Amara, the journalist whose exposé had brought her world crashing down. F's heart raced as their eyes met. For a moment, she considered retreating to the kitchen, but she straightened her apron and approached the table. "Welcome to Heritage Kitchen," she said, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her chest. Amara smiled. "Thank you. I've been hearing about the changes you've made. I wanted to see for myself." F nodded, her throat tightening. "I hope you'll find it different." Amara ordered a plate of bunga soup and plantains, and F prepared the meal herself, her hands trembling as she worked. She placed the dish before Amara with a polite smile. "Enjoy." Amara took a bite, her expression unreadable. She chewed slowly, then nodded. "This is good," she said simply. Relief washed over F, but she kept her emotions in check. "Thank you," she replied. "It means a lot." Before leaving, Amara approached the counter. "What you've done here is impressive," she said. "It takes courage to admit your mistakes and start over. I'll be writing a follow-up piece soon." F's breath caught. "A follow-up?" "Yes," Amara said with a smile. "People need to know how far you've come." The follow-up article, Heritage Kitchen, A Story of Redemption, was published a week later. It detailed F's journey from scandal to redemption, highlighting her efforts to rebuild trust and maintain transparency. The article included interviews with new customers and staff members, painting a picture of an eatery transformed. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Skeptics began to soften, and former customers returned, curious to see the changes for themselves. The dining area was soon bustling, the sound of laughter and clinking plates filling the air once more. F didn't take the renewed success for granted. She continued to prioritize cleanliness, holding weekly training sessions for her staff and conducting regular inspections of the kitchen. She introduced a feedback system, encouraging customers to share their thoughts and concerns openly. As Heritage Kitchen gained traction, F's story began to inspire other vendors in the community. A few approached her for advice, asking how they could improve their own practices. F welcomed them with open arms, sharing what she had learned and encouraging them to prioritize hygiene and customer trust. One vendor, a young woman named Ada, confided in F about her struggles. "I want to do better," she said, "but I don't know where to start." "Start small," F replied. "Clean your workspace, organize your supplies, and be honest with your customers. It's not easy, but it's worth it." Ada nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "Thank you." As the months passed, Heritage Kitchen became more than just a restaurant, it became a symbol of resilience and integrity. F stood in her kitchen one evening, watching her team work with precision and care. The sound of happy customers drifted in from the dining area, filling her with a sense of pride she hadn't felt in years. The road had been long and painful, but it had also been transformative. F knew she would never forget the lessons she had learned, and she was determined to continue growing, both as a chef and as a person. As she stirred a pot of soup, the words of her grandmother echoed in her mind, "Good food is a gift, but a clean kitchen is the foundation." F smiled, her heart full. This time, she was doing it right. The midday sun cast long shadows over the bustling streets of Benin City, bathing Heritage Kitchen in a warm glow. Inside, the eatery was a hive of activity, with customers chatting animatedly over plates of steaming food. The soft hum of a ceiling fan blended with the clatter of utensils, creating a symphony of life that filled F's heart with gratitude. Standing behind the counter, F watched her team work with practiced efficiency. Plates of jollof rice, nkwobi, and fried plantains were prepared and served with care, each dish a testament to the lessons she had learned. F adjusted her apron, her lips curving into a small smile. This was the dream she had always wanted, a thriving business built on trust and integrity. But beneath the surface, F knew that success was a fragile thing. The scars of her past lingered like shadows at the edge of her vision, a constant reminder of how quickly things could unravel. As Heritage Kitchen gained popularity, F found herself facing a new set of challenges. The community's renewed interest in her eatery came with heightened scrutiny, and even minor mistakes were met with suspicion. One afternoon, a young man approached the counter, his expression serious. "I found a small piece of bone in my soup," he said, holding up the bowl. F's stomach dropped. Though it was a simple oversight, she knew the implications could be far-reaching. She immediately apologized, offering to replace the dish and refund the customer's money. "Thank you," the man said, his tone softening. "I appreciate your honesty." But the incident left F shaken. That night, she called a meeting with her team. "We can't afford to be careless," she said, her voice steady but firm. "Every detail matters. Our customers trust us, and we have to earn that trust every single day." Her team nodded, their expressions determined. F knew they shared her vision, but the weight of expectations was a burden she carried alone. A week later, as F was preparing for the lunch rush, she heard a familiar voice at the door. She turned to see Ruth standing there, her eyes wide with surprise. "Ruth," F said softly, setting down the tray she was carrying. "It's been a while." Ruth stepped inside hesitantly, her gaze sweeping over the spotless kitchen and neatly arranged dining area. "I've heard about the changes you've made," she said. "I had to see it for myself." F approached her with a smile, though her heart was heavy with the memories of their parting. "It hasn't been easy," she admitted. "But I've learned a lot." Ruth nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I can see that. The place looks amazing." They talked for a while, reminiscing about the early days of the eatery and the lessons they had both learned. Before she left, Ruth placed a hand on F's shoulder. "I'm proud of you," she said. "You've come a long way." F watched her go, her chest swelling with a mix of gratitude and longing. Ruth's visit reminded her of how far she had come, but it also highlighted the bridges she had yet to rebuild. As F continued to rebuild her reputation, she noticed a ripple effect in the community. Other food vendors began adopting similar practices, inspired by her story. The market, once a place of shortcuts and compromises, was slowly transforming into a hub of accountability. One day, a young vendor named Ada approached F at the market. "Madam F, I need your advice," she said, holding a notebook and pen. "How do you keep your kitchen so clean? I've been trying, but it's hard to stay consistent." F smiled, placing a hand on Ada's shoulder. "It's not about perfection," she said. "It's about making it a habit. Start small, clean as you go, organize your supplies, and don't be afraid to ask for help." Ada nodded eagerly, scribbling notes as F spoke. "Thank you," she said. "You've inspired me more than you know." Moments like these filled F with a sense of purpose. Her journey had been painful, but it had also given her the tools to uplift others. She began offering free workshops for local vendors, teaching them the principles of food safety and customer trust. The workshops were small at first, but word spread quickly, and soon, the sessions were filled with eager participants. Amidst the hustle of her renewed business and community efforts, F found herself reflecting on her personal growth. Late at night, after the last customer had left and the lights were dimmed, she would sit at one of the tables with a cup of tea, her thoughts drifting to her grandmother. Mama Isokin's voice echoed in her mind often, a soothing reminder of the values she had once taken for granted. Good food is a gift, but a clean kitchen is the foundation. F repeated the words softly to herself, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. She realized that her grandmother's teachings had shaped not just her cooking but her character. The lessons she had once dismissed as unnecessary had become the cornerstone of her success. In her quiet moments, F felt a deep connection to her roots, a sense of gratitude for the woman who had planted the seeds of her journey. Heritage Kitchen became more than just a restaurant, it became a symbol of resilience and integrity. Customers came not only for the food but for the story behind it, a testament to the power of accountability and redemption. Amara's follow-up article, From Scandal to Standard, The Transformation of F's Eatery, gained widespread attention, bringing new customers and curious visitors from outside the neighborhood. The piece highlighted not just F's journey but the broader impact her story had on the community. In the article, Amara wrote, F's story reminds us that failure is not the end. It is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to rebuild. Her commitment to change has inspired a movement, proving that integrity and success can coexist. The attention brought new challenges, but F faced them with the confidence of someone who had weathered the storm and emerged stronger. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, F stood outside Heritage Kitchen, watching the last customers of the day leave with satisfied smiles. Her team had just finished cleaning, and the kitchen sparkled under the soft glow of the overhead lights. F took a deep breath, her heart swelling with pride. The road ahead was still uncertain, but she was ready to face whatever came her way. She had built more than a business, she had built a legacy. As she locked the door and turned to walk home, F felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had also been transformative. For the first time, she felt truly proud, not just of her food, but of the person she had become. The morning sun rose lazily over Benin City, casting golden rays over the streets that buzzed with life. It had been months since F reopened Heritage Kitchen, and though her journey had been marked with triumphs, challenges lingered like shadows at the edges of her vision. With every meal served and every customer welcomed, F was reminded of how fragile trust could be, and how hard-won success must be guarded. Inside the eatery, the scent of freshly baked buns mingled with the rich aroma of pepper soup simmering on the stove. F stood at the counter, meticulously plating a dish of nkwobi. Her attention to detail was sharper than ever, and her hands moved with a precision that spoke of both skill and care. "Madam, table 4 is asking for you," called Chioma, one of her young and energetic servers. F wiped her hands on her apron and made her way to the table. Two middle-aged women sat there, their faces etched with hesitation. They smiled as F approached. "We've heard so much about your food," one of the women said, her voice tinged with curiosity. "But we also heard you had some trouble in the past." F met their gaze steadily, her shoulders squared. "Yes," she said. "I made mistakes, big ones. But I've worked hard to change, and Heritage Kitchen is a reflection of that growth. I can promise you that what you eat here is prepared with the utmost care." The women exchanged glances before nodding. "All right," the second woman said. "Let's give it a try." F returned to the kitchen, her chest tightening. She knew that building trust would be an ongoing battle, but she was prepared for it. She had no other choice. Running Heritage Kitchen wasn't just about serving food, it was about serving a promise. Every decision F made, from the suppliers she chose to the training she gave her staff, was guided by her determination to uphold the standards she had set. One afternoon, as the team gathered for their weekly meeting, F stood before them with her clipboard. "We've been doing well," she began, her voice steady. "But I want us to do better." She glanced at her team, Chioma, with her infectious energy, Femi, the young cook who had a knack for seasoning, and Ade, the quiet but diligent cleaner. They were a small team, but they had become like family. "We'll be introducing a new system for tracking food storage," F continued. "Every item must be labeled with the date it was received and the date it should be used by. No exceptions." Femi raised his hand. "Madam, what if we're in a rush? Sometimes it's hard to keep up with everything." F nodded, understanding his concern. "I know it's not easy," she said. "But shortcuts got me into trouble before. I won't let that happen again. If we can't do it right, we won't do it at all." Her words hung in the air, a stark reminder of the stakes they all shared. The team nodded in agreement, their expressions resolute. As Heritage Kitchen thrived, the ripple effects of F's transformation began to take hold in the community. Vendors who had once dismissed hygiene as an afterthought now took pride in their clean stalls and organized supplies. Health inspectors noted the improvement, with fewer citations issued than ever before. One day, F was invited to speak at a local event organized by the Market Association. The theme was Raising Standards, Building Trust. Standing before a room filled with vendors, customers, and community leaders, F felt a wave of nervousness wash over her. She took a deep breath and began. Many of you know my story, she said, her voice clear but steady. I made mistakes that cost me everything, my business, my reputation, and the trust of my community. But those mistakes taught me the value of accountability. She paused, scanning the audience. It's not enough to cook good food. We owe it to our customers to cook clean food. Trust is built one plate at a time, and it's our responsibility to earn it. Her words were met with applause, and afterward, several vendors approached her for advice. Among them was Ada, the young vendor F had mentored in the past. Madam F, you've inspired me so much, Ada said. I've started keeping a cleaning schedule for my stall, and my customers have noticed the difference. Thank you. F smiled, her heart swelling with pride. You're doing the work, Ada. Keep it up. With Heritage Kitchen's growing popularity came new challenges. The dining area, though cozy, often struggled to accommodate the increasing number of customers. Some days, the line stretched out the door, and the staff found themselves overwhelmed. One evening, as F tallied the day's earnings, Chioma approached her. Madam, we need more hands, she said. We're doing our best, but it's getting harder to keep up. F nodded thoughtfully. Expanding the team was a logical step, but it also meant more responsibility. She couldn't afford to hire anyone who didn't share her commitment to excellence. The next morning, she placed a help wanted sign in the window. Over the following weeks, she interviewed dozens of applicants, searching for individuals who not only had the skills but also the heart for the work. Eventually, she hired 2 new team members, Nkechi, a cheerful young woman with a background in catering, and Sei, a quiet but meticulous man who had previously worked in a hotel kitchen. F spent weeks training them, emphasizing the importance of hygiene and customer care. One rainy afternoon, as F stood by the counter, a familiar figure stepped into the eatery. It was Mr. Adewale, one of her earliest and most loyal customers from her previous eatery. He paused at the door, glancing around the room before his eyes settled on F. Mr. Adewale, F said, her voice tinged with surprise. It's good to see you. He approached her slowly, his expression unreadable. I've been meaning to come, he said. But I wasn't sure if I could. F nodded, understanding the hesitation in his words. I hope you'll give us a chance, she said softly. He ordered a plate of jollof rice and plantains, and F personally prepared the dish. As he ate, she watched from a distance, her heart pounding. When he finally finished, he stood and approached her. It's just as good as I remember, he said with a smile. Maybe even better. F's chest swelled with relief. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Late at night, after the doors had closed and the lights were dimmed, F often found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. The road had been long and fraught with challenges, but it had also been transformative. One evening, as she sat at a table with a cup of tea, she thought about her grandmother. Mama Isokin's lessons had been the foundation of everything she had built, and F felt a renewed sense of connection to her roots. I hope I've made you proud, Mama, she whispered into the quiet night. But F's aspirations didn't end with Heritage Kitchen. She began to dream of expanding her reach, of opening additional locations that upheld the same values she had worked so hard to cultivate. She knew it would be a daunting task, but she was ready. For the first time in years, F felt truly at peace, not because the journey was over, but because she had finally embraced the lessons it had taught her. The golden rays of the morning sun streamed through the windows of Heritage Kitchen, illuminating the cheerful yellow walls and the bustling dining area. F stood at the counter, her arms crossed as she observed her team. They moved with precision and purpose, their interactions seamless as they prepared and served meals. F felt a swell of pride as she watched Chioma and Sei handle a rush of customers with ease. But beneath her satisfaction lay a persistent question: what's next? She had worked tirelessly to rebuild her reputation, and now her business was thriving. Yet, F couldn't shake the feeling that her journey wasn't complete. The idea came to her late one night as she sat at her kitchen table, poring over the week's earnings. The numbers were encouraging, But what excited her more was the thought of replicating her success in other parts of the city. What if Heritage Kitchen could serve more than just this neighborhood? What if it could become a symbol of clean, authentic food across Benin City? F scribbled her thoughts into a notebook, her pen flying across the pages as ideas flowed. Multiple locations. Consistent standards. A brand that people could trust. It was a bold vision, but one that ignited a fire within her. The next morning, she called a meeting with her team. Standing before them, her hands clasped tightly, she shared her dream. "I want to expand," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I want to take Heritage Kitchen to other neighborhoods. But to do that, we need to be even better than we are now. We need to be consistent, efficient, and ready for the challenges that come with growth." Her team listened intently, their expressions a mix of excitement and apprehension. Chioma was the first to speak. "Madam, that's a big step," she said. "But if anyone can do it, it's you." F smiled, her confidence bolstered by Chioma's words. "Thank you. It won't be easy, but I believe we can do it, together." F began by researching the logistics of opening a second location. She spent hours visiting potential sites, meeting with property owners, and calculating the costs involved. Each step brought new challenges, from negotiating rents to sourcing equipment. One afternoon, as F toured a small shop in a bustling part of the city, she felt a flicker of doubt. The space was perfect, spacious enough for an open kitchen, with plenty of foot traffic outside, but the financial risk was significant. Could she afford to take this leap? What if she failed again? Her thoughts drifted to Mama Isoken, whose unwavering faith in the power of perseverance had shaped F's journey. "Good food is a gift, but a clean kitchen is the foundation," her grandmother had often said. Those words echoed in F's mind, steadying her resolve. With a deep breath, F made her decision. She signed the lease. As the second location began to take shape, F realized that expansion brought a new set of challenges. Hiring and training staff was no longer a simple task. She needed individuals who not only shared her passion but also understood the importance of maintaining the standards she had worked so hard to establish. F conducted dozens of interviews, searching for candidates who could uphold the values of Heritage Kitchen. She finally assembled a team, including a seasoned chef named Okachukwu, whose meticulous approach to cooking impressed her. Training sessions became a daily routine, with F emphasizing cleanliness, consistency, and customer care. She often traveled between the two locations, ensuring that both teams were aligned with her vision. Despite the challenges, F found strength in the support of her community. Customers from her original location spread the word about the new branch, bringing in a steady stream of patrons. Vendors at the market, many of whom had watched F's rise and fall, offered words of encouragement. One day, as F walked through the market to purchase supplies, she was stopped by an elderly woman selling vegetables. "Madam F," the woman said, her voice warm. "I've been hearing good things about your new place. You're an inspiration to us all." F smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you," she said. "I couldn't have done it without the support of this community." The woman nodded. "Keep going. You're showing us that it's never too late to start over." Amid the whirlwind of expansion, F experienced a moment of personal growth that took her by surprise. One evening, as she locked up the original Heritage Kitchen, she saw Ruth waiting outside. The sight of her former assistant brought a rush of emotions, relief, joy, and a tinge of regret. "Ruth," F said, her voice soft. "What brings you here?" Ruth hesitated before stepping forward. "I heard about the new location," she said. "I wanted to congratulate you, and to ask if you'd consider letting me come back." F blinked, her surprise evident. "You want to work with me again?" Ruth nodded. "I've seen how far you've come, and I want to be part of it. If you'll have me." F felt a lump rise in her throat. She reached out, taking Ruth's hands in hers. "Of course. I'd be honored to have you back." The reunion marked a turning point for F, a reminder of how far she had come, and how much further she could go with the right people by her side. The day of the new branch's grand opening dawned bright and clear. F stood outside the storefront, watching as a small crowd gathered. Among them were familiar faces, loyal customers, vendors from the market, and even Amara, the journalist who had once exposed her. F approached Amara with a smile. "Thank you for coming," she said. Amara nodded. "I wouldn't miss it. This is a story worth telling." As the doors opened and customers flooded in, F felt a wave of emotion wash over her. The journey had been anything but easy, but in that moment, she knew it had been worth it. With 2 thriving locations, F's dream was beginning to take shape. But she knew that success was not the end. It was a continuous journey of learning, growth, and resilience. Late at night, as she sat in her small office reviewing plans for a 3rd branch, F allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She thought of Mama Isoken, whose wisdom had guided her through the darkest times. She thought of Ruth, whose loyalty had never wavered. And she thought of the community that had given her a second chance. F smiled, her heart full of gratitude. The road ahead was still uncertain, but she was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. With every meal served and every lesson learned, she was building not just a business, but a legacy, one plate at a time. The soft glow of the evening sun bathed Heritage Kitchen in a warm light, its golden rays filtering through the windows. F sat at one of the corner tables, her notebook open in front of her. The bustling sounds of the eatery had faded for the day, leaving her with the peaceful hum of silence. Her journey had been long, and while her heart brimmed with gratitude, she knew the story wasn't just hers. It was for those who had walked with her, cheered her on, and even those who doubted her. This was more than a story about food. It was a story about accountability, redemption, and the power of second chances. F's journey had taught her that true success wasn't measured by how many customers she served or how much money she earned. It was about the trust she built with her community. "Accountability is everything," F began, her voice steady as if speaking directly to an audience. "There were times I thought my talent in cooking was enough. But I've learned that talent without integrity can only take you so far. People trust us to do what's right, even when no one is watching. That trust is priceless." She looked down at her notebook, where the words "clean food, clean conscience" were written in bold letters. Those words had become more than just a motto, they were her compass, guiding every decision she made. F reflected on the darkest days of her journey, the isolation, the shame, and the hard lessons she had to face. But through it all, she had discovered the strength within herself to rise again. "Failure isn't the end," she said, a small smile gracing her lips. "It's an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to come back stronger. I know what it feels like to lose everything, but I also know what it feels like to rebuild. Redemption is possible for anyone willing to take responsibility and put in the work." Her eyes softened as she thought about the people who had believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. Mama Grace, her mentor, who had encouraged her during the food safety course. Ruth, who had returned to stand by her side. And her customers, whose support had given her the courage to dream again. F's success wasn't hers alone, it belonged to the community that had given her a second chance. The market vendors who had supported her, the customers who had returned despite their doubts, and even Amara, whose exposé had been the catalyst for her transformation. "To my community," F said, her voice filled with gratitude, "thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you for challenging me to be better. Without your support and your honesty, I wouldn't be where I am today. You reminded me that true growth happens when we're surrounded by people who care enough to push us toward our best." F closed her notebook and leaned back in her chair, her thoughts turning to the people watching her story unfold. She imagined the families gathered around their screens, the aspiring chefs dreaming of their own eateries, and the everyday people seeking a lesson they could carry into their own lives. "To everyone watching this," F said, her heart swelling with emotion, "thank you for taking the time to hear my story. Whether you've supported me from the beginning or joined me along the way, I want you to know how much it means to me. Your encouragement, your feedback, and even your criticism have shaped who I am today." She paused, letting her words settle in her heart before continuing. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's that mistakes don't define us. It's what we do after those mistakes that matters. So, whatever challenges you're facing, know that it's never too late to start over, to rebuild, and to make things right. As the last rays of sunlight faded into twilight, F felt a sense of peace wash over her. Her journey wasn't perfect, but it was hers, and it had made her stronger, wiser, and more grateful than she had ever been. She stood, closing her notebook and turning off the lights. The empty eatery, now quiet and serene, was a testament to her resilience. As she locked the door and stepped into the cool evening air, she whispered a final message to the world. Hello, my YouTube family. First of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you. Your support, your encouragement, and even your critiques have meant the world to me. You all are more than just viewers, you've become part of this journey in ways I never expected. The comments you leave, the messages you send, they've reminded me that no one is alone in their struggles. We're all learning, growing, and building together. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What has this story meant to you? Have you faced moments in your life where you had to start over? What lessons have you learned from those experiences? Your answers matter to me, and I'd love to include some of your reflections in my next video. We're building this community together, and your voice is an important part of it. As we wrap up today's video, I want to leave you with this: you are part of something bigger than just my story. You are part of a movement that believes in accountability, second chances, and the power of community. This isn't the end of our story, it's just the beginning. There's so much more to come, and I want you to be part of every step. So, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And don't forget to like, share, and comment. It helps more people find this story and join our growing family. Together, we're proving that anything is possible. Let's keep dreaming, growing, and building this community of hope and resilience. Thank you again, from the bottom of my heart. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, mistakes don't define us, it's how we rise that matters. Bye for now.